Hello, beloved of God. I hope you had an amazing week or you're doing well. My name is Jeanne Rehema. I'm so glad to have you tuned in today. If you are in the middle of a fast, 21 day, 40 day, 7 day, you got this. It will be worth it. Do not give up. Don't be tempted to eat when you're not supposed to eat. Also, don't be legalistic and be like, I have to, I have to do this. I absolutely must not adjust in any way, shape, or form, or I have failed terribly. I'll be the worst person ever. Don't do that to yourself. Be relational enough with God to be able to adjust when you need to. So, but that's a whole other video. This is a story of one of the many, many things that God did for me when I did a 40-day fast. So first we'll say how I ended up doing a 40-day fast, and then obviously as testimonies go, there was this long prolonged phase of suffering, and then God, and then now. So how I ended up doing a 40-day fast for the first time ever, that I had never done before in my life, no thought I would ever do. I was so I got baptized some time back, and then after I was baptized, there was this like phase where I was like super happy and woohoo. I'm still super happy and woohoo, but I just had this phase of awesome, new me, new being, new life. I don't know. It's go get baptized if you haven't. Yeah, it's amazing. So I got baptized, and then I had a phase. Some weeks passed, and then I went somewhere, and there was an ocean and a boat, and I was on the ocean in the boat because I do not know how to swim, but I was on the boat in the ocean, and I was just having this conversation with God. And as I was just watching the waves, and I started seeing all these verses of water came to my mind. And I was just like, there's something about water. And then God brought Noah to mind, and I was like, okay, there's Noah and the rainbow and 40. Then I was like, oh, there's something about 40, isn't there? Then Jesus, went to the wilderness after being baptized. So it just, after many conversations with God, I was like, oh, 40. And then there's something to do with water. Let me do a 40-day fast. And I was like, oh, I'll do a water one. So I just got excited, and I was like, I'll do a 40-day water fast with absolutely no experience or idea how that would go. That's a whole other video. So that conversation with God is what inspired the 40. And I prayed about it because we were out there on the ocean for a really long time. So I prayed about it, and I was like, okay, God confirmed this, and God confirmed it over time. So hence the 40. And I was like, I've been baptized, and then there's this 40-day fast. What's God gonna do? Yay! So we did it. Anyway, now the suffering. When I was younger, well, not that much. Okay, let's say when I was a teen. When I entered high school, I started developing like so many allergies over time. So I remember when I was younger, if someone would apply, products that I wasn't really used to on me, I would break out really badly. Like my skin would just, yeah, it flake and peel and pimples and all that. So actually my mom told me from the time I was born, she put I think Vaseline on me, and I just broke out immediately. So it started that way with just Vaseline. Then by the time I was 9, it was a lot of things. Baby jelly, I couldn't use so many products, so it just kind of started out that way. Then we entered high school, and I kind of started developing more allergies, but I hadn't really connected the dots at that time. I was in Form 2, I think. I don't know what grade that's an equivalent of, maybe 10. That's like the second year of high school. So I would go for dinner, and in school, which was just ugali, some soupy cabbage and meat every day. And I would itch, like I would have like a 40 phase of itching from my feet all the way up. So I just eat, then after 20 minutes I'm like scratching, and then it just kind of used to go up on one side, then go down on the other side. So if it started on my left side, I'd itch up, then itch down. So it was always the same pattern. Then I'd have like rashes everywhere. It's like I'd get a rash, then get really itchy. And this happened for so many, every day from like 6:20 p.m. because dinner was at 6. I used to get really bad itching. So I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't eat dinner. And when I didn't eat it, I was fine. I was like, okay, so there's something in the dinner. So I started eliminating, and first I just eat the ugali, and it's like maize meal. For those guys who don't know what ugali is, there's a way we cook it. It's really nice. If you ever visit us in Kenya, eat ugali. So I would eat the ugali and the beef, then ugali and the soupy cabbage. It's as tasty as it sounds. And after eliminating, I started seeing if when I don't eat the beef, I don't itch. And a lot of my allergies kind of developed. Okay, my former allergies kind of developed that way. So that was Form 2. In Form 1, I would get just really bloated and look kind of pregnant when I ate supper, which I think at the time, it was a really, like, it was a different school. They used to give us hot dogs and ice cream, and yeah, they did not have a bad menu. But it kind of started when I was 14. Then now when I was 15, I got the meat one. So I stopped eating beef. Then by the time I was 16, the same thing would happen with goat meat and lamb. Only way worse. I'd get like really big clusters of really itchy, blotchy pimples that would stay for weeks. Like I could eat beef on the 1st of February, and 2nd February, I have like 1 pimple here. 3rd February, there's 3. 5th February, some come up here. 16th February, now it's my stomach. It always just would go, the cycle would go all the way. Now when they'd appear on my feet, like 28 days later, is when I'd be like, okay, now we're almost done. I would take antihistamines, nothing would work. I just really itch. So I stopped eating the red meat. That would be beef, goat meat, lamb, and then same thing started happening with eggs, except now with eggs I'd have like really bad diarrhea. So I stopped eating eggs or anything with eggs, that being a lot of stuff. Some bread has eggs, eggs have eggs, cake, eggs add eggs, cake has eggs, cookies. So that really removed a lot of things from my diet. Couldn't have eggs. Then when I was 17, it's like each year something would come up. When I was 17, after every breakfast, I'd get really bloated and have really bad, like an flaking on my face. Still, I had to be put on eczema meds because my face would flake, and neck and legs. It was, yeah. So I stopped eating bread, and then it spread to things with yeast. So I couldn't eat pizza. Bread has yeast. So by the time I was 17, couldn't have red meat, couldn't have eggs, could not have anything with yeast. Then I turned 18 and started reacting to specific kinds of brands of milk. So I could take milk from one brand but not another, because I have it from this brand and I'm nauseous and I have diarrhea, and a different brand I'm fine. So I started using one specific milk. Then when I was 19, was I 19 or 20, I got a legume allergy. So first time I ate, at that, I don't know what happened. I ate French beans and I had like diarrhea for almost a week. Then after that, anytime I would eat any legumes, lentils, beans, peanuts. Any peanuts are legumes, they're not nuts. Anything that was a legume, I would eat it. I would be bloated. I'd have diarrhea for days. I literally could not eat after that. So I stopped eating legumes. And the yeast thing went to all fermented things. I could not have yogurt, vinegar, cheese. I'm pretty sure you're wondering what I could eat. I could not have brown chapati. So that is like brown wheat, non-refined wheat. Just the wheat, but the brown one. That one. I couldn't have that because I'd have diarrhea, and basically everywhere I went, I was known as the girl with allergies. Literally everywhere. Because everyone had to restructure their menu for me. They'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot one allergy. Now when I was like 24, I started reacting to broiler chicken. I would eat the chicken, and around 30 minutes later, my feet would be so swollen. I could not wear shoes. I had to wear sandals or walk barefoot. So the sandals really helped. And that was automatic. Anytime I would eat broiler chicken is like inorganic chicken. So I was like, is it the chemicals? But then slowly after time, I started getting uncomfortable with even the kienyeji, also known as organic chicken, the one they just feed maize and I don't know what else they're fed, worms. Pretty sure they're fed other stuff too. So this was, over time, you can see the allergies went on increasing in scope. And because there was such a wide, like there was such a myriad of things that I couldn't eat. Now that I think about it, I wonder what I would eat. I just eat ugali, kienyeji veggies, or sukuma wiki and kale and spinach. That's kale and spinach. Carrots. Yeah, I also couldn't have bell peppers. They'd make me really bloated. And cabbage. Like super bloated. Could not eat for like 2 days after that. So I was also starting to frustrate people because they don't know what to cook. You can only have ugali, rice, white chapati. You sometimes can have pasta, sometimes you can't because of the wheat. And then what can you eat? I started reacting with peas as well. Anything in the nightshade family. So I couldn't have onion that wasn't fully cooked, bell peppers, peas, because peas I think are also in the legume family. So people did not know what to cook for me. They're like, oh yeah, can we cook chicken? It has to be kienyeji. Okay. We have to cook chapati a specific way with a specific oil, because if you use other oils you have nausea and you diarrhea. It was really starting to get really difficult, I think, for the people around me and also for me. Now I can see how it was difficult at that time because it was happening over time. I was adjusting slowly, like how if you put a frog in a pot of cold water and you heat it up, it will not notice the water is getting hotter and hotter, and you can actually cook the frog that way, as opposed to if you just threw it in a pot of hot water, because it would feel the heat and jump out. So because it happened over time, I started learning how to adapt to it. I would check the ingredients of everything. I would not eat at weddings or most people's homes. People had really limited menu and cooking for me, and it was, oh, can we make you tea? Which milk are you using? Like, I also would start to feel oh, we have made you pancakes. Do they have eggs? Oh, okay, can't have that. Next, I was having a really hard time adjusting as well. It got to a point where I was allergic to so many things, but I had learned to adapt. So one day, this person who I think had started praying for me, God just led him to start praying for me. just one day came to me and was like, hey, I was like, hi, you have allergies. I don't know how he knew. And I was like, yeah, I do. He was like, so yeah, so allergies run in your family? Then I was like, yeah, because there's gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance. Then some people were allergic to eggs. After I had an egg allergy, some people were allergic to eggs in the family. So I was, of course, holding the trophy of allergies. There's some fruits I couldn't eat. Oh yeah, there's also some fruit allergies in the family. So he was like, oh yeah, so you have allergies and they're going to go away. I was like, oh, great. Okay. So I had years of people saying, oh, you need to pray about this. You have to eat everything. And I'd just be like, oh, this again. Y'all just leave me alone. Like, what? But it's something that God had started convicting me on slowly, because earlier, I think last year in 2021, I was like, oh yeah, let me try lamb. And I took like one bite. There is a time I had taken a little bit of beef and my tongue got numb and I panicked because I was like, I can't move it. I was like, ah! So I tried a piece of lamb later and nothing happened, but I didn't want to try. I itched a bit. Then another time I also tried, there's this lady who was selling pork. Oh, I could have pork and other white meats like rabbit, which does not taste nice to me. Yeah, fish, I could have fish. So that's really all the restaurants I went to just have fish. That's the only thing I could eat with that's not breaded, because the breaded fish has fish and eggs, which has eggs and breadcrumbs, which I can have. So I had never eaten KFC. It had everything that I could not eat. It's inorganic chicken with breadcrumbs and eggs. I really could not eat that. So I tried lamb and one piece and nothing happened. So let's go back. You remember that time I told you with absolutely no experience, I decided to do a 40-day water fast. So when the time came, because God also gave me a start date for it, and surprisingly or coincidentally, I think for me, I was like, oh, the start date that God gave me for that fast, I was breaking my fast on Good Friday night. So my first meal was the day before the Lord rose, because you cannot eat after a 40-day fast. Please don't do that, you could die. So I started with a water day fast, and by the 4th day I could barely move. It was so difficult. I was like, God, I'm failing at this. I have to finish. I can't believe there's 36 days left. Like, honestly, I don't know how Jesus did it without lamenting. I felt like I wrote a whole book of lamentations. The heartburn. Oh my goodness, your stomach still releases acid even if you're not eating. So anytime you lie down, it's just burning. It's like fire fest in there. It was horrible, absolutely horrible. I could not sleep. I could not function. I couldn't move. And the breaking point, I would get up the stairs and like like it. It looked like I was dying. I lost so much water. I don't even think that was weight I was losing. And I knew now something was wrong, because I tried to like shower, and after washing one hand, I couldn't stand anymore. And I was like, okay, perhaps we could die doing this. And I was like, God, I'm sorry. And then we had this conversation, it's a whole other video about how I survived this. So I had a conversation with God and we prayed. I prayed, or we talked, and I was like, okay, I think I can suck on an orange. So I sucked on the orange, and then the next day I was like, okay, maybe I can try like just a sauce of veggies once a day. So I was unable to even finish a saucer because my stomach had shrunk to something so tiny. And on around the 8th day, I think I should probably have gotten my journal. Around the 8th day, when I'm like, okay, God, which veg do I eat today? And I just had in my spirit, try an egg. I'm like, what? Egg? Okay. Because I was like, okay, God, I'll just trust you with what I can or cannot eat. So I was like, try an egg. I was like, well, those would lead to like 10 days of diarrhea before. However, at your command, we'll try this, and if it goes bad, it's your fault. I kinda said that. So I ovened it because I didn't want to fry stuff. Don't try eating oily things when you're fasting. It's a bad idea. So I kind of ovened it, and it was really chewy and rubbery, and I was like, I don't remember eggs being so rubbery because it had been, I think, 11 or 10 years. Ooh, 11. It was 11 years since I had had any egg. So it tasted really funny. I was like, oh. And then nothing happened. So I was like, okay. Then sometime later, because I went to help somebody with something, and I was over at their house overnight. So the only thing they had was beans. And remember, I could never have legumes. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try some. I'm going to test you, God. So I tried the legumes. The beans, nothing happened. I wasn't bloated. I did not have heartburn. I slept really well. I did not have any diarrhea. And I was like, okay. So we're doing this. And after the 40 days, I remember people had not hung out with me for a really long time. And one of my friends was like, hey, when can I see you? When are you breaking your fast? I'd really like to meet you. Immediately you break it. I was like, okay, probably I can't eat at that time. And I just asked her, what would you want to eat? She's like, I've wanted to, like, let's have shawarma. Then she's like, oh, yeah. You can't have bread. You can't have chicken. I'm like, hold up. I'll be able to eat everything after. So you just say what you want to eat. And she was like, yeah, okay. It's just something she's saying. She's speaking in faith. But I think after that day 9, 10, 11 experience that I had with God, I remembered the words I was spoken to. You'll eat everything. By someone who did not know anything about me. They just walked up to me and like, yo, you have allergies. You're going to be able to eat everything. And when now God started prompting me, like, have eggs, then I was like, I'm going to test you and have some beans. And nothing happened. It's now among the things I started saying, like, okay, let me work with God on this. One of the main things I wanted for the fast was to live the life that God wanted for me, the way, and to live in the freedom that Christ had died for me to have. The way it says, it is for freedom, it is for something that you have been set free. I think it is for grace that you have been set free, so do not be burdened again by the yoke of slavery. That's Galatians, I think 5:1 or 1:5. Let's go with 5:1. So, yeah. Or it is for freedom that Christ. Anyway, go check the verse out. So, I was like, God, I just want to live life the way you designed for me to live it. I want everything you want for me. So if there's anything in my life that is holding me back, I want you to deal with it. And God started dealing with the allergy thing. So I went after my fast and I was like, Lord, I don't want to die. I will have like a nibble of shawarma because I know my stomach is still small and that's meat, and it was a chicken shawarma. So broiler chicken with mayo, which I could not have before, and onion that was like semi-cooked, and nothing happened. So I was like, oh, yes. Next time I went for a family gathering, which was really soon after that. They were like, okay, so we couldn't find kienyeji chicken, so you'll just have like rice with carrots. I was like, hold up, I can eat everything now. I was speaking in faith, but I was like, God doesn't lie. If you say I am free, then I am free. So I ate the chicken, nothing happened. Tried KFC later, tried pizza, tried all these things that I couldn't have before. I now drink any milk. I eat everything, and it's such a testament of God's faithfulness, because I could never, it's just the simple things. I could never have cake anywhere because everyone puts egg in cake. Unless it's a special order, there's cake, there's egg in everything, even things you would not think have egg. It's ridiculous. You all should be considerate to people who are vegan. Yeah. Anyway, that's actually how I learned how to bake, like egg-free things, gluten-free things, dairy-free things. I can actually make egg-free, gluten-free, dairy-free in one bake. I had to learn because there was so many allergies that I was balancing between myself and others. And I now eat everything, and everyone is surprised. I'll just go somewhere like, oh, you shouldn't eat that. I'm like, I eat everything now. Yes. They're like, no, what did you do? I'm like, oh yeah, so I went on a fast. They're like, you had to fast to eat? I'm like, well, if you put it that way, it sounds funny, but yes. So I was known as Rehema with the allergies. That was like kind of like the street cred I had. And now everyone is like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm like, nah, it's fine. Like, yay. So it's just one of those things that I could not even have thought or even asked for, that God ended up doing, that is such a testament of God's faithfulness now, because it's something that is so visible. Everyone was like, yo, Rehema has this. And then now Rehema doesn't. Like, you just eat everything. It's still an adjustment for people, like, oh, you can't have, okay, yeah, never mind, never mind. Or, oh yeah, so what can't you have? I can have everything, just cook what you want, everything that I choose to eat. And it's honestly such a vibe. Before, people would make all these accommodations for the dysfunction I had, like, we don't want to kill her, don't put that in the food. And now it's more of, they can accommodate me in terms of, oh, she really likes this, let's cook that for her. Or she doesn't like this, let's not put it. Like, it's a different kind of love, I guess, that I had not experienced before. Most people would love me. It used to be like, let's not kill her, take her to the hospital. And now it's like, oh yeah, she likes this, let's do it. It's different. If you've ever had an allergy, you understand. And then also, I used to have like really bad, like, sinus things, and my eyes would itch and swell, and it was really bad. That stopped too. I didn't know that was part of the allergies that would stop, but now my nose is always clear. I do not have itchy eyes, itchy ears, the itchy. If you've gotten the thing that it's somewhere between here, there, you can't really reach it, and you're like doing this and making the funny noises. That stopped too. I was like, oh no. So I was just super, super happy. And what this like means, it reminds me of this verse, that is two verses actually. So one is in Isaiah 58, and it says, is this not the fast that I have chosen, to break the chains of wickedness, to untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free, and tear off every yoke. And I was like, that is one yoke that was completely torn off of me, gone. Like, the Lord delivered me from what that was. Everyone had a theory like, oh, you're stressed, or maybe it's hormonal changes, or I don't know, she's stressed, she's a teenager, and she's in a new school, and her dad left, and it's, some people are like, yo, it's a spiritual thing. So there's all these theories, but whatever it was, the Lord freed me from it. The yoke was broken, I was delivered from that. And whatever you might be having that's holding you back, you might be known as, I don't know, Tom or David with, can't keep a girl, or the girl who's always picked last, or with this particular dysfunction, with on her fifth marriage, or whatever it is you may be known for, God can break literally every chain, every yoke, whatever is oppressing you, to set the oppressed free, to tear off every yoke. It's not like a gentle process. God is not about to come to your yokes like, oh, let's like kind of gently like remove this. It's like tear it off and cast it away. Like, you're not gonna be on my baby anymore. Like, throw this yoke away. Literally, it's being torn off, breaking every chain of wickedness. This was definitely not righteousness or God or blessing. This was wickedness. And whatever it is for you, you can be delivered, you can find freedom, you can find healing, wholeness. Right now, I'm having the struggle or a good problem of just trying out every food, and you might be thinking it was like, oh, but for me it was like, huh? Because like the beef is, it tastes a little bit chewy. Like, was beef tasting like this always? Was it? Or it's just different things that I'm having to adjust to. Like, this is an interesting taste. I'm eating things for the first time in 10 to 13 years. So I'm also adjusting. And if you haven't watched my fibroid story, healing story, that was last year. I think a time like now. You can click on it, it would be here. But I used to have a fibroid, but I was also kind of scared of trying beef out again, because I was like, oh, isn't this like bad? What if it grows back? And the thing about God is not this like angry being that is like, oh, so you're doubting me now, huh? God had to really speak to me like, you're fine, you're safe, you can try it. I healed you from that too, and you're fine. Like, you have the freedom to eat beef when you want to, without fear of it like, oh, growing a fibroid again. Like, God is like, I healed you completely. And sometimes learning to walk in freedom is such a struggle, because you still have the past fears, and it's just a faith by faith walk. Like, God, I'm trusting that I'll be fine, I'll be healthy. Because one of the coping ways I would cope with it is like, oh yeah, I'm just allergic to the unhealthy stuff. Like, it's not even that really good for you. Is cheese good for you anyway? So I used to I think over time I had started thinking that I'm healthy because I'm not having cheese, or I'm not having this. And God is like, I am the one who gives you health. I heal you and I deliver you. And when I do it, it is finished. It was finished 2,000 years ago, 22 years ago on the cross, in the times of Christ, somewhere there. It was finished, it is finished, and it will always be finished. God's work is perfect. In the past, in the present, and in the future, it's a forever guarantee. So there's some things in your life that will be broken off after you pray and you fast. And there's the time the disciples were not able to cast out a demon, and they went to Jesus, and Jesus told them, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. So there is power in fasting. I'm not saying you just wake up one day and decide, I'm doing 40 days tomorrow. It's about obedience. Prayer and fasting could be a 3-day thing, 1-day thing, 7-day thing, 21, 28, 40, whatever God tells you to do. There is blessing of obedience. Like, just flow with the Spirit. God knows what's best for you. There's an appointed time for everything on earth, and go for it. Like, if you're thinking of doing this, please do it. If you'd like a video on tips on doing a 40 or 21 or any kind of fast, put it in the comments. And yeah, if I am led to do it, or when I am led to do it, I will. So that is my story. That is my healing. I was known for one thing, and now everyone is like, huh, really? So you might be watching this and you're like, Rehema, you eat everything now. Please invite me over. If your food is tasty and it's not weird stuff like crickets, I'll come and I'll eat. We can now go out and eat anything that I choose to eat, of course. And yeah, so that is the testimony. I hope you enjoyed this. You can subscribe, you can share this with someone who needs it. You can put your testimony story in the comments. And this is just one of the many things that God did for me in that time of 40 days. And I continue to walk by it. There's a time I got itchy and I was like, no, 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 no. Devil, I was healed, and that healing is still good today. I am not allergic to anything in the name of Jesus. I woke up the next morning, whatever rash I had gotten was gone. So don't give the devil a foothold, because you can see the devil had a foothold from the time I was younger, and it just moved from a foothold to a more like I own this place kind of thing. So when you get freed, when you get delivered, whether it's from rejection or being treated as less than, or having dysfunctional relationships, from an addiction, whenever you get tempted or something happens that is against what you know God has done for you, you need to trust God's word more than the evidence of what you're seeing. We live by faith and not by sight. Faith without works is dead, or without action is dead. Like, faith it. Your faith is sowing seeds, and you'll start seeing the evidence of it. So keep faithing, keep believing, do a fast when you're led to, however long you're led to. Like this video and share it. Have an amazing time, and just know you are God's beloved, and God cares about the small things in your life. Yeah, bye.